Casey Gale here, back with yet another recap and review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 4, Episode 6, entitled Off Hour. It was directed by Dan Liu. Now I'm redoing this because I didn't really like my last recap of it, so I figured so that's why I'm redoing it. And it's going to be kind of a longer review, but anyway, I really enjoyed this episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 4, Episode 6, entitled Off Hour. As I said, it was directed by Dan Liu, and it was a great episode. As a matter of fact, it was the best episode of Season 4, because Season 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds has been kind of different. I still like Season 4, but I really love this episode. And another good thing about this episode is we saw the return of Dr. Philip Boyce, who we have not seen since the original Star Trek series unaired pilot, The Cage. He was the original chief medical officer that served under Captain Christopher Pike's crew. And he was played by the late great John Hoyt, as Christopher Pike was played by the late great Jeffrey Hunter. This time Dr. Philip Boyce is being played by Brian Markinson, who's played multiple Star Trek characters on The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Yeah, Brian Markinson. His last name is spelled Markinson. Brian Markinson. And he did a really, really good job. And I know a lot of Star Trek fans wanted Jeffrey Combs to play Dr. Philip Boyce, because Jeffrey Combs has played multiple Star Trek characters on The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. And yeah, he's really good. But Brian Markinson did a fantastic job playing Dr. Philip Boyce. And Dr. Philip Boyce, the original chief medical officer aboard the USS Enterprise and CC-1701, was pretty much a grumpy doctor, because they said in the episode that Dr. Philip Boyce did not like working with other doctors and nurses. So he was very, very strict in this episode. So very, very grumpy. But Dr. McCoy was also a grumpy doctor. But the difference between Dr. McCoy, because sometimes Dr. McCoy didn't always like working with other doctors either. But yeah, so I guess Dr. Philip Boyce was the original grumpy doctor in the Star Trek universe. And then Dr. McCoy came aboard after this doctor from the Star Trek original series episode where no man has gone before. But let's begin with the recap, shall we? Okay, here we go. Season 4, Episode 6, Off Hour, opens with Chapel's voiceover counting down the minute until the weekend begins. Viewers get a shipboard chronometer graphic to see how much time is left. We start with 48 minutes even. The USS Enterprise is headed back to Starbase 7 for repairs, where the ship will then become Beta ship's problem and Alpha ship will get their break. Ortega's inputs whoop for and they're off. Chapel is in sickbay, talking with Dr. M'Benga about how Dr. Boyce transferred back to the Enterprise. Doc explains that he requested Dr. Boyce's transfer in case Doc decides to leave. Chapel is distraught. If you leave, I would have to leave too. I wouldn't do well with Boyce, she says. Dr. M'Benga replies that she's doing good work, but he's concerned because she has one foot out the door. Scotty is going over some stuff with his Beta ship counterpart, Lieutenant Early, who's played by Zahi Hu. When he notices the computer glitching, Lieutenant Early says it's just some bad code and assures Scotty that he'll take care of it. Meanwhile, Pike turns over control of the ship to his Beta counterpart, Lieutenant Water. As he's about to leave, his counterpart notices that their warp trajectory has shifted by a few degrees. Pike decides it's worth rechecking, which means Ortegas and Uhura are dragged back to work. Chin Wiley, La'an, and Spock have already started their weekend enjoying drinks in the port galley. Scotty gets a call in the elevator from Lieutenant Early. There was a bigger problem with the computer glitch. With the ship's warp shield has become unstable, and they're headed for a slipstream wormhole. Scotty calls for power to be cut to the warp engines without telling the bridge, fearing that they will get caught in the slipstream, but he's too late. In sickbay, Chapel is still giving Dr. M'Benga a hard time about his maybe leaving. He points out that she never applied to be a permanent member of the crew. Whenever things get real, he tells her, "You won." Their argument is interrupted by a red alert announcement. All hands brace for impact. The ship is immediately thrust into chaos. On the bridge, everyone is knocked over and thrown around. Lieutenant Wilder has no control to take over the ship. And they can't get the shields up because everything is electrified. Pike decides to risk it, and it promptly causing shock. And it says, so Pike decides to risk it, and he is promptly shot, causing him to flip backwards over the railing. Scotty is stuck in the lift with Lieutenant Early. Scotty is stuck in the lift while Lieutenant Early determines that they have to evacuate engineering. In sickbay, large pieces of equipment and furniture start flying across the room. Dr. M'Benga pushes Chapel out of the way, but he gets slammed into a wall, held in place by a lab table. Chapel approaches, concerned especially because of the gasping noises he is making, and that distant look in his eyes. The shipboard chronometer is at 40 minutes and change. This is just getting started. Ortegas and Uhura move. Hold on. Hold on a second. Ortegas and Uhura, okay. Sorry about that. Something happened on here. The ship is immediately busted. Yes, okay, let's see. Scotty is stuck in the lift while Lieutenant Early determines that they have to evacuate engineering. In sickbay, large pieces of equipment and furniture start flying across the room. Dr. M'Benga pushes Christine Chapel out of the way, but he gets slammed into a wall, held in place by a lab table. Chapel approaches concerned, especially because of the gasping noises he is making and the distant look in his eyes. The shipboard chronometer is at 40 minutes and change. Ortegas and Uhura move across the bridge, slipping and sliding and struggling, trying to get the station, trying to get to their stations. Ortegas levels out the ship, but it takes nearly all the ship's power. She needs engineering, but she can't get in touch with anyone. Chin Wiley calls in from the port galley, asking what's going on. Uhura says they have multiple injuries. Ortegas says they are bleeding fuel. All sensors are down but one, and they're flying into whatever that flashing light cluster is out the window. Luckily, Spock knows what it is. Scotty already figured out obviously, but they can't get in touch with him right now. It's a slipstream wormhole with extremely rare neutrino currents. Basically, they were yanked off course by a giant vacuum cleaner, one that spans countless light years and flows with radioactive dust. Chin Wiley says that they'll come to Ortegas on the bridge when things are stable in the galley. But Ortegas tells her it's not safe to move about. Uhura is still trying to reach Scotty. Scotty is still trapped in the lift. He bangs on the doors until Cadet Ashea hears him and forces open the doors. Scotty thanks him, tells her he needs to get to engineering. She suggests that using the transporter. He agrees, and they race down the highway. In the transport bay, Scotty sees that the ship is running out of power and the transporter doesn't work. Cadet Ashea tells him they don't have comms either. This section of the ship is non-functional. The shipward chronometer is at 35.21. In sickbay, Chapel runs a diagnostic scan on Dr. Mabenga, which reveals some distressing news. He has a translubar serpent, and it's likely fatal. He's only alive because the table is holding his organs in place. She goes to him and asks a few questions and finds that his memories are intact. The computers are down, so she hasn't gotten the X-ray result yet. She says she tells him it's too dangerous to move the table off of him until they know more. Dr. Mabenga assures that this is bad, and he agrees and goes along with it. Over in the galley, the comms are back up, and they are out on open line with Scotty and Ortegas. Scotty recommends everyone stay put for now. Suddenly, glasses break and the piano is crushed. There's a gravity malfunction. Spock says that the G-forces can be manually overridden from a panel on the other side of the galley. Chin Riley volunteers to go, but Spock warns her that G-forces are the most intense over there. Then let's hope I'm stronger than the piano, she says, before she starts crawling over there. The trip is not easy, but Chin Riley makes it to the far wall. She pulls herself up until she is standing, but then her leg breaks, bone tearing through skin, and she screams. Somehow fooled, she pushes herself up further, hits a button, and then collapses. Spock says the gravity is normalizing and rushes to Chin Riley's aid. The shipward chronometer reads 30:24. Scotty is trying to get the transporter, but it's a disaster. Cadet Ashea suggests shutting down life support, not over, just in certain areas. Scotty considers it. If we shut it down in the quarters, we may pull enough power to override the malfunctions. He takes Ashea's advice and sends out a shipwide communication announcing he is shutting down a life support in outer quarters. Dr. Philip Boyce calls into sickbay. He needs help in the galley, and there's only a minute left before the hallways become impassable. But Chapel refuses to leave. She sends him Dr. Mabenga's medical info, and he gets angry. He gives her a direct order and instructs her to let nature take its course. She claims the signal is breaking up and disconnects. Chapel gives Dr. Mabenga a painkiller, which helps him, but then he asks why Boyce said no one can help him. Chapel states they have a difference of opinion, but Dr. Mabenga insists on seeing what the problem is. Scotty determines that radiation is scrambling in their one sensor, so he comes up with a plan to extend it by deploying a probe to the edge of the warp bubble. Ortegas likes the idea, so Uhura sends the sensor out, but it blows up almost instantly. They're flying blind now. Scotty covers the bridge and alerts them that the slipstream is like a warp slingshot. The longer they are in it, the faster they go, pushing them past the warp threshold. If that happens, they will disintegrate into bits of space-time, according to Scotty and the shipward chronometer. They have 24 minutes. Dr. Mabenga reveals his test results and agrees with Dr. Boyce. Chapel should have left left them. Dr. Mabenga tries to move to the table, but Chapel won't let him. If he does, he'll be dead in seconds. She insists that there must be some way to save him. Dr. Mabenga admits he is grateful to her company. A warning signal goes off in sickbay. There is a seal breach. As Chapel rushes around trying to fix it, Dr. Mabenga again tries to convince her to leave. I am not leaving you, she says. He relents. The shipwreck chronometer says they have 22 minutes and 43 seconds left. Scotty finally reaches Pela, who is in her room. He needs her advice. How do they get out of this mess with no eyes on the situation? Find new eyes. Pela suggests she wants to send someone outside to the ship's iron pad. To the ship's iron pod. Even though that means they'll be exposed to dangerously high level radiation. I never claimed it would be a vacation, she responds to Scotty's panicked response. If they maintain a stable warp bubble, there's a chance their center could survive. Scotty checks with Uhura, who heard the whole thing. She turns it over to Pike, who's back up after being electrocuted. He sends the request to Spock because he's closest, even though he doesn't want to ask. Spock assures Pike that he is best suited for the job. Ashaya uses the transporter to send Scotty to recalibrate the pod to scan for neutrinos. He makes it in unscathed. In sickbay, Chapel looks up an experimental treatment and shows it to Dr. Mabenga. He insists it won't work, but she won't take no for an answer. Scotty finishes with the pod and radios to the bridge that they are ready to go. Chapel covers the bridge next. What now? She says. They are in a neutrino motherlode, which is a difficult subject to study. Basically, according to theory, the strong force neutrinos can be used for medical treatment. Chapel thinks that it can get enough of them so she can reverse Dr. Mabenga's trauma and save him. Scotty joins in and says the neutrinos can be used to make more fuel for its whole theoretical science smokescreen. Spock goes through the airlock and proceeds to down the secondary hull. The energy currents are intense, and he's only has 16 minutes left. He enters the iron pad. Uhura is getting readings. It looks like he's in there, but it's out getting in static. Uhura gets a warning. The pod transceiver is overheating. If Spock doesn't jettison the pod, it could blow up the entire Enterprise. Uhura tries desperately to reach Spock and to get him to leave the pod. There is a quiet panic as they have 10 seconds to jettison, and Pike wants to give Spock as much time as possible to evacuate. Pike finally jettisons the pod at the last moment, but there's still no word from Spock. There are just 12 minutes left. La'an argues with Chin Wiley, saying that she could have gone instead of Spock. She's more expendable. She believes he is still out there and says she has to go get the data. Chin Wiley lets her go. Pela tries to get Scotty. Pela tries to distract Scotty, but she's doing a poor job of it. Scotty says that the ship is supposed to protect him, but instead it's glitching. Pela assures him that every ship glitches. Starships are also capable of miracles. She insists while she explains this. She quietly patches a tiny pinhole in the wall that is sucking out her oxygen. Back in sickbay, Chapel gives Dr. Mabenga the rundown of a planned treatment of him. When they are both ready, she'll open the door and allow Dr. Mabenga to freeze to death, which will hold them together. while she moves the lab table off her. Then it's surgery time. She will draw the strong force neutrinos out of the slipstream into a device, which she'll use to stitch him up. While the heat's back, she'll restart his heart. Dr. Mbenga needs to say this, that he is grateful he's not alone. No, in his final moment when he is with a friend. Chapel insists he is not dying, but suddenly the power goes out in sick bay. You are kidding me, she screams. A computer tells her that our biobags are non-functional. She takes an axe to the wall. With just over eight minutes to go, La'an is outside on the same track Spock was on. She calls to the bridge and tells him Spock isn't there. But she keeps going. She climbs into the pod housing where she finds Spock passed out but alive. La'an also gets the data chip. Chapel explains to Dr. Mbenga that the procedure is basically just cryostasis. He is still trying to get her to leave, go someplace safe. She won't go and asks him to tell her a joke. He agrees and launches into a joke about a Latvian birthday party. She opens the doors and freezes before he gets to the punchline. It's 4 minutes to warp threshold. La'an walks Spock into the galley, warning that they both been out in the radiation too long, and they need to decontaminate. But first, they need to deal with the pod data, which was damaged on their way back to the ship. Spock is their last hope, but he's vomiting up green goo. He's too sick to communicate, so she coaxes him to do a mind meld for her to get the information they need. She calls the bridge. Meanwhile, Chapel is moving along with a plan for Dr. Mbenga. As she moves the lab table away from his body, her finger freezes to it and snaps off. Pike sends the info from Spock's memory to Scotty. He trusts the Vulcan's memory as much as any computer. He reads the info and is pleased to announce that Chapel has rewritten physics, strong plus neutrinos are real. Ortega's rewatch the Enterprise tragedy. They have 30 seconds away from warp threshold, and when they hit it, the ship will break up. Scotty insists the ship will keep them alive until they get the neutrinos. They hit the warp threshold, the ship comes back online, the power life support and comes back, and outcomes are back up. So Chapel can finally perform the life-saving surgery on Dr. Mbenga with seconds left. Ortega gets them out of there. They slow down to a stable warp speed and Pike lets out a breath. Chapel collapses to the ground. She finishes the surgery on Dr. Mbenga. You're going to be okay, she mutters. Padia meets Scotty in the transport bay, where they share a smile. Christine Chapel wakes up in the sick bed and sees Dr. Mbenga being treated beside her. Captain Christopher Pike comes in and congratulates her, telling her that they would all be dead without her. She has a request. She puts in for a official duty station. Pike agrees. Chapel goes to Dr. Mbenga, who is alive. He gives her the punchline to the joke. She teases him. They both laugh. And I would rate this episode 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. And I would rate this episode 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, way up, and 8 triple plus, and a solid 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed this episode. It was a great episode. In my opinion, it was the best episode of season 4, and it was nice to see Brian. And like I said earlier, it was nice to see Dr. Philip. It was nice to see Dr. Philip Boyce, who was played by Brian Markinson. As I said, Brian Markinson has played multiple characters on Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. So he's well known to Star Trek fame. I know a lot of fans expected Jeffrey Combs to play Dr. Philip Boyce, but Brian Markinson did a really, really good job, and I really enjoyed this episode. I liked everything about it, and every character had something to do. Captain Christopher Pike had something to do. Chino Wiley had something to do. Nurse Christine Chapel had something to do. Dr. Babega had something to do because he was healing, because he was injured and he was going into surgery, so he had something to do. Spock had something to do. La'an had something to do. Pelea, played by Kyo Kane, she had something to do. Dr. Philip Boyce, he had something to do. So yeah, our Pike's crew had something to do, and it was revealed that so Dr. Philip Boyce transferred back to the Enterprise, and I hope we see more episodes of Dr. Philip Boyce, because I would like to see the Dr. Philip Boyce character develop. I'd like to see where Brian Markinson, the actor that plays him, takes the character. Brian Markinson, his last name is spelled Markinson, yes. So I'd like to see what they do with his character. And I looked online, and they say so he is scheduled to be in more episodes, which is good. And Thomas Jane is going to be playing Dr. Leonard H. Bones McCoy, but he won't appear until the series finale, which is going to be next year. So season 5 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is going to be the last season, and Dr. McCoy won't make an appearance until the series finale. So he's going to be played by Thomas Jane. And he's a good actor, Thomas Jane. So yes, they're finally getting a well-known actor to play Dr. Leonard H. Bones McCoy, because DeForest Kelly was the original Dr. Bones McCoy, and he did a good job. So yeah, and apparently Hikaru Sulu's gonna be on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds next year. So gonna see who's gonna play him. Let's see, Sulu. Yeah, but Sulu's not going to be until the series finale next year, so it's going to be so there's the actor Kai Murakami is going to be playing Hikaru Sulu in the series finale of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. And Thomas Jane of The Punisher is going to be playing Dr. Leonard H. Bones McCoy. So I'm looking forward to next season. Now let's see, there's episode 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's gonna be, so there's 4 episodes left this season. 4 episodes left. And the next 4 episodes are gonna be very interesting. And then season 5, which is gonna be debuting next year, 2027, is only gonna have 6 episodes. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in season 5, the final season. I'm looking forward to seeing how Dr. McCoy and Hikaru Sulu make their debut in the series finale next year. So that should be very, very, very interesting. Because the late DeForest Kelly did an amazing job playing Dr. McCoy, and George Takei did a really great job playing Hikaru Sulu. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Thomas Jane plays Dr. McCoy and how so I'm looking forward to that. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And the next 4 episodes, I mean, I know there's going to be a soap opera episode, because a lot of episodes of this season have been like comedy episodes or strange episodes, but hopefully there's a lot more seriousness into the next 4 episodes of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. And shout out to the 2 viewers that are watching. We thank you, that means a lot. And comment down below and tell me what you thought about this episode, what you enjoyed about it, what you liked about it. Anyway, you stay classy, live long and prosper.